You are listening to Travel with the Backpacking Housewife podcast. I'm your host, Janice Horton, ex-housewife, empty nester, and normally a nomadic world traveller. I love to discuss dreamy destinations all around the world, and in particular, the pros and cons of midlife and senior travel, and about making the most of opportunities to travel in retirement, or what I like to call the golden age of travel. Welcome to episode 12, in which I'd like to discuss with you a really important issue, and that is buying travel insurance. Because finding the best travel insurance policy when you're over 50 years old can be difficult and confusing. But travel insurance is something that we can't afford to travel without at any age. Buying a travel insurance policy to cover you for any unforeseen medical expenses or financial losses while travelling outside your own country is an essential part of the planning and preparation for any trip, and this is especially true since the coronavirus pandemic. As I record this podcast, foreign travel is in a state of flux, and as more and more countries do open up their borders again, it's important and useful for you to know the very latest in travel advice and travel information. There are lots of websites online offering current and regularly updated travel information to help you make a personal risk assessment on whether you should be travelling or not right now. Your own country will have official government guidance on travel, which should be your first point of reference. In the UK, that's the Government Foreign Travel Advice page. For country-by-country reopening guidance, I also recommend thepointsguy.com and traveloffpath.com for comprehensive and regularly updated border information. For up-to-date European travel information, the website openeureopen.eu is a useful resource tool, listing current restrictions in Europe and when countries are reopening. So please do keep in mind that travel information can change without notice. Okay, so let's get back to our discussion about travel insurance, and let's look specifically at travel insurance for senior travellers, for those of us who are over 50 years old. It's true that travel insurance for the over 50s can be something of a major personal investment, despite that we all do everything we can to minimise risks when we travel. We can take all the advice, we can be super cautious, we can get all our travel vaccines and be extra careful, but life is inherently risky. Leaving home can be risky. You might get sick. Accidents can and do happen, and usually when you least expect it and when you are least prepared. For all these reasons, it's important to get the right insurance cover for your age, your existing medical conditions, and for the specific destinations where you intend to travel. Travel insurance is there for you if the unexpected ever happens, and travel insurance is there for you in an emergency situation when you are travelling outside your own home country of residency. Travel insurance can provide a financial safety net and get you the support and assistance that you need if you ever get ill or you're involved in an accident, an incident, or worse, during travel and while on holiday or vacation abroad. At the very least, travel insurance should provide you with peace of mind. And that's why it's so important that you choose the right travel insurance policy for your needs. When the backpacking husband and I were younger, travel insurance was much easier to buy and much easier to afford. As we're now middle-aged, we're both 61, we see travel insurance has become ever more specialised and ever more costly. Especially if there's existing medical conditions to report that can increase the travel insurance quotation. But spending money on travel insurance that doesn't cover you for all the things that you need in an emergency situation abroad is not only a terrible waste of money, but it also means that you'll have no safety net while travelling. It's down to you to choose responsibly and to buy the right travel insurance policy. It's daunting and scary and a huge responsibility, I know, but don't panic. But first of all, I need you to know that I'm not an expert in travel insurance, and this podcast is meant as a general guide only. I'm just someone like you, someone who buys travel insurance. And I've had some experience in choosing and buying a travel insurance policy over a period of many years and for global long-term travel. I also need you to know that I've only ever claimed on a travel insurance policy once in my life, and that was over 20 years ago. On that occasion, one of our children had a tummy ache in Orlando, and we had him checked out, at great expense, at the local hospital. And since then, while travelling the world with my backpacking husband, we've never had a reason to make a claim on a travel insurance policy. And that's not to say that while we have been travelling, things have always gone to plan for us and that a life of travel is always spent in sunshine and flip-flops. Because we have on occasion experienced travel mishaps and needed to see a doctor or a dentist or a pharmacist, or we've lost or mislaid stuff and once even managed to miss a flight. But as our incurring costs during these incidents never exceeded our travel insurance policy excess, we've never had a need to make a claim. And to explain an excess, this is an agreed payment stipulated in your policy that your insurance company will ask you to pay towards any claim that you make. And I think that all the reasons I've never had to make a claim has certainly been down to luck rather than to anything else. But what about the next time? That time I had a toothache and went to see a dentist in South Korea, that might have proven to be more expensive. The time I slipped on a footpath in the rain in Thailand and scraped the skin off my foot and had to go to the pharmacist could have been a broken bone and a hospital admission if I hadn't been holding on to my husband's arm at the time. That time we were in Central America and the backpacking husband was bitten by a mosquito and he was feeling unwell. Well, it could have been dengue fever. From my experience of travelling, I wouldn't want to rely on luck alone. I'd rather know that my insurance policy covered me for such emergencies. So having covered why we need travel insurance, how does travel insurance work and what kind of travel insurance do you need? What is covered and what is not covered? Buying a travel insurance policy can feel confusing and overwhelming and time-consuming. But it's really important to carefully read all the terms and conditions and the small print, and to be fully aware of what is covered and what is not covered in the policy. Travel insurance is often sold with a choice of different levels of cover, and these are often called something like basic cover for emergency medical insurance only, premium cover that will also cover you against any lost luggage and travel delays, and a fully comprehensive cover that will cover you for most eventualities. Generally, you should always buy the policy that suits you best. I can honestly say that I've never travelled without even the most basic level of travel insurance. As a travel tip, I'd take a note of your travel insurance policy number and a contact number and keep it somewhere where you can find and access it in the case of an emergency. Also, share this information and your travel itinerary with your loved ones back home as a backup. Now, who are the best providers of travel insurance? Over the years, I have used several different UK travel insurance providers. I've bought single-trip family policies, comprehensively covering all eventualities when we were taking the kids on holiday. As empty nesters, when the backpacking husband and I decided to travel full-time, we started taking out travel insurance policies in 3 monthly chunks. But if we were still travelling when the policy expired, we then had to renew with travel insurance who allow you to take out a policy or to renew one while you're still abroad. And this is when we discovered that most insurance companies require you to be in your country of residence during the time you purchase the policy and often require you to have a return ticket for within a specified time. For this reason, when we've been on an extended trip around the world, it's made sense to us to take out a comprehensive annual multi-destination global travel policy from the outset when we have bought cover for our flights, travel arrangements and our luggage and stuff. But sometimes, and increasingly, as we prefer to travel light and we don't carry any expensive equipment with us, it's made financial sense for us to buy emergency medical insurance cover only for in the event of personal injury, accidents and any unexpected illnesses, rather than for flight delays, travel interruptions, cancellations or material losses. Except it was during one of those times when we'd only bought an emergency medical cover only insurance policy for ourselves, rather than one that covered any trip interruption cover, that we were in Thailand and got news of a close relative's illness at home that was life-threatening. And of course, we had to fly home immediately. Except it was the 2nd of January and one of the busiest and most expensive times of the year, and our basic cover insurance didn't cover us for the cost of the travel. And on that occasion, we had to whip out our emergency credit card and accept the unforeseen costs. But the incident did make us wish that we'd bought the extra insurance cover. We thought we'd been saving money by buying a basic cover policy. Well, in the end, it had backfired on us. Another travel tip. If you're involved in an accident or an incident, however serious or minor, then do keep any receipts and all paperwork relating to what happened to assist you in any travel insurance claim. So let's take a look at 10 important things to look out for when choosing travel insurance. First of all, choose a reputable insurance company and do your research. Read recommendations and reviews. Trustpilot is a great website for consumer reviews, and Money Saving Expert website is a good resource for checking out travel insurance providers. Insurance that I've used myself and therefore would recommend to you include World Nomads, True Traveller and Stay Sure. If you want to pop over to my website at thebackpackinghousewife.com and take a look at the accompanying post to this podcast, Travel Planning, Travel Insurance for the Over 50s, then you'll find some links there for you to the insurance providers that I would recommend to you. Number 2, decide on the type of travel insurance cover that you need. Do you want to cover for any cancellations to your travel arrangements and for your cash and your personal property? Especially important if you have high-value items with you while travelling. Or do you only want cover for accident and medical emergency and repatriation should you need to come home quickly or if you die abroad? Number 3, buy your travel insurance before you set off on your travels. Buying insurance at the same time that you're booking your trip is a sensible option, as you will be able to include cancellation insurance. With a home start and with a return ticket and a trip lasting less than 90 or even 120 days, you will also have lots of options regarding the company that you choose as your travel insurance provider. Number 4, travel insurance when you're already travelling. There are not so many travel insurance companies to choose from when you're already travelling. The best I have found are World Nomads, Global, and True Traveller UK, and I've heard other nomads recommending Safety Wing, which is another global insurance provider. Number 5 is nomadic travel insurance. For those of you like the backpacking husband and I, who are normally nomadic, under non-COVID situations, and travelling full-time without a home base. Then the global travel options for insurance in number 4 will perhaps be more suited to you. But I would warn you that you would normally have to have a registered home address for your policy application. Number 6 is the matter of a registered home address. It's essential to have a registered home address for all sorts of reasons: banking, healthcare, paying tax, voting, driving licence, etc. I know lots of people who are nomadic world travellers who live in an RV or a motorhome, or use the private address of a family member or a good friend, or even the office of their lawyer or accountants. We use the address of a house that we rent back in the UK and where we are staying during the pandemic. Number 7, single trip policies or annual policies. Work out which will be the best for you, depending on the region and the countries included in the policy and the additional benefits to buying an annual policy. I have found travel to and even transiting through the United States of America is often an optional extra on policies and charged at a premium. During my last trip, I managed to overcome the additional expense of adding an overnight transit through the USA by buying an annual policy with True Traveller, as it allows for 14 days in the USA as part of the annual policy at no extra cost. Number 8, declare all your pre-existing conditions and make sure the travel insurance policy will cover emergency repatriation, and check for COVID and any COVID-related illness cover. If you have your travel insurance cover through a credit card or a bank account, are there any age restrictions on the cover? Do they know about any pre-existing conditions, any prescription medications, or any doctor or hospital appointments that you've attended over the past few years? If not, then you might not be as well covered as you think, or not even covered at all. Number 9. What age are you? Unfortunately, the older you are, then the more expensive and the more difficult it becomes to find travel insurance. Some travel insurance companies will only provide cover to the under 65-year-olds. If you're older, then you might want to use a company that specialises in insuring older travellers and those with pre-existing conditions. Take a look at Good to Go Insurance, which is a UK company, and Saga Insurance, and check out Money Saving Expert for a list of the over 65 travel insurance options. Number 10. Travel insurance in Europe. Are you travelling from the UK to Europe? The Free European Health Insurance Card, the EHIC, did entitle you to free treatment in state-run hospitals in the EU at the same cost as a local person. But after Brexit, 1st of January 2021, those in the UK who have an existing EHIC can continue to use it in EU countries, but not Switzerland, Norway, Iceland or Liechtenstein, as they're not part of the EU, until the expiry date on the card. But if you don't have an EHIC or it has expired, then you'll now get a global health insurance card, a GHIC, instead. The GHIC card is free and you can apply online at the official NHS website. So what does travel insurance cost, especially for those over 50 years old? Well, having a look at what travel insurance covers and what travel insurance costs, you might like to read the blog post to this podcast on my website at thebackpackinghousewife.com, entitled Travel Planning, Travel Insurance for the Over 50s, where you'll find some useful links to all the information websites that I've mentioned, and also because I've used them myself. I do want you to be aware, however, that should you get a quote and make a purchase through any of the links on my website, for example the World Nomad Travel Insurance link, then know that I'm affiliated and I may receive a small commission, but at no extra cost to yourself. This affiliation helps to run my website and, well, I'd really appreciate your support. So to conclude, I do hope this guide on travel insurance has been helpful to you and has helped you to understand the importance of having the right travel insurance and how to go about finding it. The information I have included here is based on my own experience as a UK national. I appreciate that your own requirements will pertain to your own country of residence. All the information provided about travel insurance is a brief summary only. It does not include all the terms, conditions, limitations, exclusions and termination provisions of the travel insurance plans described. Coverage may not be available for residents of all countries, states or provinces, so please carefully read your policy wording for a full description of coverage. Do please get in touch if you have any of your own travel insurance stories to tell or good information about travel insurance that you'd like to share, or indeed, if you know any travel insurance companies that you've had experience with at a time when you needed them to step up, and so you would recommend to others, especially those over 50 years old, because then you'd be helping other travellers. Plus, I'd love to hear from you because my podcasts are totally focused on not only inspiring you to achieve your own travel dreams in your midlife and beyond, but also in answering all your travel questions. You can email me through my contact page on my website at thebackpackinghousewife.com or get in touch through my social media channels. I'm on Facebook as The Backpacking Housewife. I'm on Instagram as Janice Horton Writer. And if you're on Twitter, then please do tweet me your travel goals and your questions at Janice Horton. That's JANICEHORTON. And come and travel with me here on Travel with the Backpacking Housewife podcast. Subscribe and follow for inspiring and informative new episodes each week, in which I'll be discussing ways to plan for and to prioritise travel in our lives and in our new future, and in what is set to become a new and golden age of travel.